page?
1056. We are continuing mitzvot of the Torah. We're in Parshah of Ki Teitzei, page 1056. Last time we learned about forbidden marital relations. Then we spoke about tuma, impurity. Now we have a negative commandment in Pasuk Tet Zayin, Pasuk 16, and that is Lo tasgir eved el adonav. Do not give over a slave to his master. That's the negative commandment. We're going to explain what it means. And the Pasuk continues, in which case you should not give a slave back to his master, Asher yinatzel elecha mi'im adonav, who runs to you from his master. So we're talking about a slave who escapes from his master and he comes to you. You're not allowed to bring him back to his master, which is a strange mitzvah. A slave is supposed to be working. That's his status. We're not talking about African slaves that were working for, or slaves in Egypt who were enslaved illegally, who were not supposed to be slaves and who were mistreated. We're talking about a slave who became a slave legally, and his obligation legally means according to law, and he is supposed to be a slave. So seemingly, if he runs away from his master, we should return him. Right? So it seems strange.
But the master is bad. Why do you want
The
him?
master is not bad. That's what the difference is between the Jewish master and a non-Jewish master. A non-Jewish master abuses the slave, beats him up, can even kill him. A Jewish master is not allowed to abuse his slave. He must treat his slave with respect. And therefore, being his property, if your cow runs away, you don't just, whoever finds it keeps it. You don't just make this cow now a free wild cow. No, you have to return it to its master. So if a slave runs away, seemingly you have to return it. Like a lost object, you have to return it to the master. But the Torah says, Lo tasgir eved el adonav. Don't return the slave to his master. So the circumstance here is that the slave lived outside of Eretz Yisrael. The master is outside of Eretz Yisrael. And he escapes from his master and he runs to the land of Israel.
It's a Jewish slave.
Jewish slave. He wants to live in the land of Israel.
So he goes there because he wants to live in the land of Israel, not because he's running away from his master.
But they can't live in Israel because they died.
No, this slave runs away from outside of Israel, let's say from Iran, Jordan, Syria, America, and he runs to Israel. You're not allowed to take him and return him chutz la'aretz. You're not allowed to return him outside of Israel, back to his master. Since he now is, he came to a place of greater Kedusha, a place where every 4 steps you make, you get a mitzvah. Yeah, it's a mitzvah to live in Eretz Yisrael. So even a slave who belongs somewhere else, even he is not allowed to be sent back. How much more so a free man, right? For sure, you don't have any obligation to be outside of Israel. So for sure, we should all be in Israel. Yeah, the Torah teaches you how important it is to live in Israel. That even a slave who belongs elsewhere, if he comes to Israel, he becomes free and he can live anywhere he wants. That's what the next pasuk says. Imcha yeshev, he can dwell with you, bekirbecha, in your midst, b'makom asher yivchar, in any place that he chooses, be'achad sharecha, in one of your cities, b'tov lo, in the place that's good for him. Lo tonenu, you're not allowed to hurt him, oppress him. So lo tasgir eved el adonav is read, and the mitzvah is negative commandment. Don't return a slave who ran away from his master from outside of Israel to Eretz Yisrael. Or you can phrase it differently. Don't return a slave that escaped
Escaping slave.
to Eretz Yisrael, to his master outside of Eretz Yisrael.
So it's here also interesting fact that they say like if he escaped outside from Eretz Israel and at that time you're sieging their country, that like if the Israelis are fighting against the other people and then this slave escaped, so now you don't return him because he can give you valuable information about their city.
What about if the slave ran away from Israel and
Then-
he worked in Israel?
But then you're allowed to return him. Yes. Now, Baruch pointed out there is a note that there is another case when this mitzvah applies, that if you go to fight against a non-Jewish city outside of Israel, there are slaves in that city that serve people of that city. So you're fighting against the people of the city, you're not fighting the slaves. The slaves themselves may not like the people of the city. So
or
now,
they might be Jewish, and Jewish might fight
very good.
bad guys, and
Yes.
they might fight the Jewish people, and they are fighting Jews that are their families.
So if the slave is running away from his masters, the non-Jewish masters, you should not keep him as a slave. You should give him freedom. Because it says sending him back to his master, non-Jewish master, would return him to a place of idol worship, whereas you can make him free man, and he has opportunity now to find the truth and serve Hashem. But the mitzvah according to Rambam is that we're talking about a regular slave of a Jewish person who lived in Chutz La'aretz, outside of Israel. He escapes to Israel. You're not allowed to return him back to his Jewish master outside of Israel.
Should we still keep him being a slave because it was a punishment for him for the fact that he stole and he doesn't have to return?
Yeah, no. Here it says he can settle anywhere he wants in a place that's good for
He
him.
becomes a free man.
So, Rabbi, what's the translation? Don't return a slave that escaped to Eretz Israel to his master
No, yes, yeah,
outside of Eretz Israel?
right. Meaning
From outside of Eretz Israel.
the to his master means don't return him to his master outside of Israel.
Okay.
Wait, but what about like
He,
Can-
yeah.
can he work in Israel? Then if he ran away from like present Egypt, still has to work because he's a slave. Can he work in Israel?
So this tells you that he becomes a free man.
He has to be free.
He can work as a free man.
Now, the next negative commandment connected to this is last two words of Pasuk Yud Zayin. Lo tonenu. Do not oppress him. And this is a general negative commandment, not to oppress a slave. Don't insult, don't oppress, don't hurt a slave. Any slave.
Any? What about if it's a goy?
Any slave. Every slave is a human being. Every human being is created in the image of Hashem. And therefore we have to treat every human being with respect. We cannot hurt any slave. Don't oppress, hurt, insult a slave. Any
Even
word
her?
hurt also not allowed. Cannot beat him up or anything like that. Now, the next two negative commandments are about harlotry.
What's harlotry?
it's a woman who that is not married to a man, but she still wants to be with him even though she's not married. And that's not allowed. You have to get married first.
Yeah.
Now, Pasuk Yud Chet. It's a negative commandment. Lo tihye kedesha mi benot Yisrael. There may not be any harlot from among the girls of Israel. The next half is also mitzvah, but it refers to the man, but we don't mark it because it's all part of the same commandment. V'lo yehye kadesh mi bnei Yisrael. And a man may not be a male harlot from among Jewish boys.
So where do we highlight?
We highlight just lo tihye kedesha mi benot Yisrael. What is the definition of it? The definition of a harlot is a woman that has relations with a man without ketubah and without kiddushin. That's all.
We just underline what the kadesha or
Yeah, lo tihye kedesha mi benot Yisrael, and the negative commandment.
No harlotry.
Yeah, you can say no harlotry, and the definition is you can put like a dash.
So it could be a practical.
This is a practical. Yeah.
So when they say
No,
Israel, they mean just the Jewish people.
Yeah. That
Even
among
outside.
Jews there must not be any relations without ketubah and kiddushin. No harlotry, dash, no relations without ketubah and kiddushin.
So, Rabbi, what we talked about with Rabbi Kraft earlier about Tamar.
Yeah.
Did they have any consequences, both of them?
No, because what they did was correct.
What did you do?
Because there's a mitzvah of yibum, right? Since her husband died without children, and her second husband died without children, she has to marry the closest relative of both her husbands.
What?
And that is called yibum. According to Torah, she marries the brother. That's the closest relative. But before the Torah was given, the father of the husband was also permitted to marry her. And that's what happened. The Yehuda, being the father of both of her husbands, was supposed, not only was allowed to, he had an obligation.
But they
Either he himself or his son. He didn't want his son to marry her,
right.
but he himself ended up marrying her, right?
Wait, what about if he was like bad to her? How could he marry her?
Then he shouldn't. But
Uh,
Yehuda was good to her. So
But
that's
they,
why
they first had relations and then got married, I think, right?
he didn't know, right? He didn't know. But she knew. And that's why she arranged it, because she knew that it is a mitzvah for him to be with her.
Didn't he do the necessary process? He got like 2 witnesses, but then he made the marriage right then and there.
Yehuda.
Yeah.
Could be. There was such a concept that if you wanted to do something like this, you did a marriage first. There was, actually the Gemara says that if a man visits a city far away from his home, he should not stay not married. Even if temporarily he should get married. Not because he wants to have relations with a woman. It might be just technical, because it says as long as the man knows that he has a wife, he can control himself. It's easier for him to control himself. So as long as he knows I have a wife, even though I don't go to her, but I have the wife, it's easier for him now. He's more protected. So it's possible that Yehuda did that. But in any case, even without it, it would be permitted and it would be a mitzvah. And that's why she had 2 boys. One for her first husband and one for her second husband.
Wait, that means she has two. She had two.
She had 2 boys. Tamar had 2 boys, and both of them became great people.
What? How?
From different husbands.
But that
She
can't
had
happen.
twins. So that's the first mitzvah. Lo tihye kedesha mibnot Israel. The next mitzvah is lo tavi etnan zona umechir kelev beit Hashem Elokecha.
What's the-
That's a negative commandment. We highlight everything that I said. Do not bring a payment of a zonah, of a harlot. Umehir kelev means money that you got from a sale of a dog to the temple of Hashem your God.
Oh, I know why. It's because that the dog, it's disgusting.
It's something not nice, right? That it's not nice to serve Hashem with these things. Meaning things that were, and this is also an example of that you shouldn't serve Hashem with anything that has any connection to
dogs, remember?
improper behavior or
So
anything
we're talking
that
about money here, right?
money. That let's say a harlot received money for her services, she is not allowed to bring it to Beit HaMikdash and buy a korban with it. Or a person had a dog, he sold it. He's not allowed to bring this money now. Or let's say he sold a dog and he received, let's say, a sheep instead. So he's not allowed to take this sheep and bring it to the temple.
Because it's still the money. He bought it from the money.
Because it's not nice to use these things in service of Hashem, right?
So we have to get another kind of money, not
Right,
this
you have to
kind.
Honest.
use
or-
other honest and clean money.
So what's the translation of
The-
it one
the-
more time?
Translation: don't bring as an offering harlot's hire or harlot's wages and exchange, that's what they translate, exchange for a dog. An animal exchanged for a dog.
What's
Harlots means if you have a dog and you want to exchange it for
Oh, you
nice
trade.
goat, yeah, that goat you shouldn't bring to the temple. So harlot's wages or exchange for a dog.
I don't understand what the exchange for a dog means.
Exchange for a dog, let's say you have a dog and you exchanged it for a baby goat or baby sheep. So that baby goat or baby sheep you should not bring to the
It's
temple.
just like money.
Yeah, because it's the monetary value of a dog.
Why a specific case of a dog?
Why specifically the dog?
Dogs are like filthy animals, you know, they eat all kinds of stuff, you know.
All kinds,
Maybe
even
that's why
garbage. No, not true.
They circulate in garbage for food. I don't know.
All they eat
Chazir
is
is more
bones.
filthy.
Put them?
Chazir
It
is
Not
says-
bones.
It says like this
I do for sure.
in a note: dogs are considered abominations because they were often trained to be vicious and thus became a menace to the public. It is common for sinners to try to legitimate the profits of their activities by contributing to charitable causes.
What's that mean?
Which means a person sometimes does an avera and then he says it's okay, I'm gonna just give tzedakah and this way the money is gonna become clean. So
Not
this
a lot, right? Not a lot.
right. So this teaches you that
Oh,
just
that means like
using your money for good causes after something bad doesn't make it good.
oh, that means like
You
You-
can't steal
So say-
and then say it's okay, I'm gonna help poor people. I'm gonna steal from a rich guy and I'm gonna give to poor. It's not allowed.
You
No,
can
because-
extend that, right, to this, that let's say if you sell drugs or you
Yeah.
have money from casinos.
Yes,
you
also shouldn't use it for good cause. And there are such people,
I
such
know
honest
why you can't
But if you
steal it
win money in
because
casino,
you're
you can't.
stealing.
Yes.
That's an avera, and you're doing a good thing too. First, you have to ask. Then, if they
Right.
say yes,
Right.
then you can give it.
Very
They have to give tzedakah. You can't just stay and you say.
So it says like this, that
Steal.
there are people who are very careful not to use in their synagogue or in their yeshiva any money that was not earned dishonestly.
Or
So
that-
they, before accepting a donation, they will ask, was this money earned on Shabbat or not? Was this money earned in an honest way? Was it stolen or anything like that? And if it was,
Yeah.
even if it's a big donation, they say, no, I don't want it. Because any money that was not earned properly, in the end, it's not going to bring success. So even if you're giving up a lot of money, but it's good because in the end, this money it's not gonna produce anything anyway. It's gonna go to waste. So why bother with it? Just don't accept it, it's going to be better.
And if you see the tzedakah like cover like this, Amalek, if you see it on the floor, you can't just take all the money for yourself and you just put the penny inside and that's all. You have to just put like money. You can't take the money. You have to put it inside.
Right. It has to be,
Or
you
put
have
on
to
the
be
cap.
honest.
You can't steal.
So that's what it says. By forbidding the use as offerings of animals given in exchange for harlotry or for dogs, the Torah symbolizes that ill-gotten gains cannot be cleansed by using them for holy ends. God regards such a practice as an abomination. Now we learn about the mitzvah of interest, taking interest.
Abomination is disrespect. Right?
Pasuk.
Abomination is disrespect.
No, it means something disgusting, something
What means disgusting?
It says abomination of Hashem, your God.
abomination means
It's like disrespect.
abominable.
Еще хуже, чем disrespect.
What is it in Hebrew?
Disgusting to Hashem. Как
Toeva.
Toava is abomination.
Right, what does toeva mean in English?
Something that's like disgusting
Ta'ev.
to Hashem.
Tita'ev.
Ta'ev.
Shameful.
I'm gonna look in the dictionary.
But not what the poor means. Abhor.
So you read the
Do
pasuk.
you
So
know
we
that?
got any
Abhor. Do you know what that means?
Kito Hashem
Abhor.
We didn't highlight that. Lo tavi et nan zunah mechir kelek beit Hashem Elokecha. Right, just that.
Oh, just okay.
It means detestable, atrocious, awful, dreadful, painful, terrible, unspeakable, displeasing, exceptionally bad.
So shameful, basically very shameful.
Very bad.
It's like gay marriage. Basically.
Yeah. Now, pasuk chaf, lo tashich leachicha. These three words is a negative commandment.
Which one? See?
Lo tashich leachicha. And what does it mean? You should not give interest. So this is a mitzvah for the borrower. It's a negative commandment for the borrower to give interest. It's not only a negative commandment for the lender to charge interest, but it's a negative commandment as well for the borrower to give interest. And here that's the mitzvah. Don't borrow with interest. In English they translate, you shall not cause your brother to take interest. Right? Which means by borrowing with interest, you're causing your brother to
Which one?
lend with interest.
This one?
Thank you. The next commandment is a positive mitzvah, pasuk chaf aleph. Lanachri tashich. To a non-Jew, you may cause to charge interest, meaning you're allowed to borrow from a non-Jew with interest.
And pay interest, right? So when the tashich.
Lanachri tashich. Which means borrow from a Gentile with interest.
You may borrow from
Just kamas under la nachri, it's still read as a kamas, not as a not la nochri,
Lanochri.
not la nachri,
I think Lanochri.
even if it's not in the beginning of the word. Normally in the beginning of the word is all right.
I don't know all the rules of it.
Like kol,
Yeah,
so it's spelled with kamas, but we read it as all.
right. Kol Chochma.
Why should we make it green?
Green. Lanachri tashich. Lanachri tashich.
How come there's a dot also like in the noon? Why is there a dot?
Yes, it just tells you to stress that letter more.
I have a question. So is this actually mitzvot to borrow an interest from an non-Jew? I mean, we're only highlighting what the mitzvot are, right? So,
Alright. I think what the Rambam did, he interpreted it differently. He interpreted it as lend money to a non-Jew with interest.
As allowed or as
so you're also allowed to lend money to a non-Jew in interest?
Yes.
So it's with the same pasuk then, right? We can write that in.
You can write it, lend, let's change it, lend to a non-Jew with interest. And this is a mitzvah. Now, people ask why to Jewish people we lend without interest and to non-Jews we lend with interest. Right? If it's something wrong, then maybe we shouldn't do it to non-Jews either. Yeah, you hear the question. We're allowed to borrow money with interest from non-Jew and we're allowed to lend with interest for non-Jew, but we're not allowed to lend from a Jew with interest. So the question is, why do we treat non-Jews worse than we treat the Jews? And the answer is that there is nothing wrong in borrowing or lending money with interest. It's a legal practice. It's a permissible practice logically, right? Instead of lending you my car for use, I'm lending you my money for use. You're going to use the money, you're going to benefit from it, you're going to make more money with this money. So you're benefiting. Why don't you share some of the benefit with me? And on my end, I'm giving up my use of that money. I could earn some money by investing this money, and I'm giving up my profit by giving the money to you. So it makes sense that I should be able to charge you for the use of my money. So logically, there is no reason to forbid lending with money, with interest. And therefore, lending and borrowing with interest from a non-Jew, nothing wrong with it. It's a normal standard practice, and that is acceptable in the whole world. The fact that we don't lend to Jews with interest and we don't borrow from Jews with interest is because we're family. We're all one family. We're all brothers, and as brothers, it's not nice to make money in such a way on each other. And therefore, it's not that we treat the non-Jews worse, but rather we're supposed to treat our family better.
This is the most frequently broken mitzvah these days, I guess.
Well,
this is practical mitzvah?
This is very practical, and that is why Chachamim made a loophole, that a way to go around the law in a legal way, in a permissible way, and that is to create something called heter iska, which means instead of me lending money to you, I'm gonna become a partner in your endeavor, in your business, and which means we're gonna write a document that's gonna make us partners, and we're gonna turn this transaction, instead of a loan, into a business deal, and we're gonna share the profits. And the only thing is that we're gonna specify in advance how much my share is gonna be. And therefore, even though in the end of the day it's gonna be the same thing, I give you one amount and you return to me a bigger amount, however, this is because of a business deal and not a loan, and therefore it becomes permissible. So therefore, if you need to borrow money from a Jew or lend money to a Jew with interest, do it with heter iska, turn it into a business deal, a partnership, and it will be permissible. So it is very practical. And once we're on this topic, let's just mention a few practical cases. For example, you need to buy something in a store, right? But you cannot pay right now. So you know your friend has a credit card, let's say from Home Depot. And you need to buy something for a few $1,000s. And your friend has a credit card, and he can allow you to use it. He doesn't need to buy anything from Home Depot in the next year, so you just buy it, you take care of it, pay it within a year. And this is the favor that a Jew wants to do to another Jew. Is he permitted to do it? Seemingly, there's nothing wrong. I'm giving you my credit card. You take care of it. You
It's a
buy.
mitzvah.
Yeah, you buy. The credit card is going to charge you interest every month. You pay the interest. You're not paying it to me. You're paying to the credit card. So
For your
everything's
own
fine.
budget.
Wait, but then it takes that person's money.
Very good. Now, this is really not allowed. This is not allowed. Why? Because what's happening is your friend is not borrowing money from the credit card because he has nothing to do with the credit card. It's not his credit card. You are borrowing money from your credit card. You are becoming obligated to pay interest to your credit card. How much are you lending to your friend? Let's say you buy something for $2,000. You are lending him $2,000. You obligate yourself to your credit card to pay, let's say, $2,500 at the end of the year.
Yeah.
He didn't make this obligation. Credit card doesn't know about him.
Pay.
So you, as if, are doing a favor to him, and you're telling him, I'm going to pay this $500 out of my pocket to my credit card, and I'm giving you only $2,000. At the end of the year, when he comes back and he pays you $2,500, it ends out that he borrowed only $2,000 from you, and he pays you back $2,500. So therefore, this is not allowed. And if you have to do it,
that means he didn't do a mitzvah.
right?
That,
You did
that
Avera.
means that means he was tricking him. That
Yeah.
first he buys it and then he has to give the money back.
So what should we do if a person needs to buy something and he doesn't have a credit card? So what he should do is he should write this heter iska. So you see, heter iska is not just a loophole around the law. It allows you to do things that are permissible.
How would you write that for that particular situation?
There is a copy of this document sold either in stores or you can find it online or in books. You can just follow that example. You don't need to go to Beit Din. There is the document, you just write, you both sign, and you become partners.
Heter iska?
Heter iska.
Iska?
Iska. Iska means business, heter means permission.
But what if business goes south, then you lose the money you borrowed.
Yeah, so we have to, it's not so simple. You have to go deeper and see what happens. Because what's the difference between a loan and a business deal, a partnership? The loan, you're lending money and you're guaranteed the return. You're not taking risk. The person is going to take your money and he's going to invest, he's going to take a risk. He might lose the whole thing. And he will end up losing everything and you didn't lose anything. Whereas when you do a business partnership, if he loses money, you also lose money. If he gains money, you also gain, right? So we have to know exactly how this heter iska works, but we're not learning it right now. But this is one example. Another example is, let's say someone wants to take a mortgage, but he can't. He doesn't have enough income that he can show.
Let's take it on somebody else's
So he
name.
takes it out on someone else's name. So you have the same.
Wait, how do they do
the
that?
same.
They steal or
No,
they check
nobody
on the
steals.
computer?
No, nobody steals. Listen, like this. If your friend needs a mortgage, you go to the bank and you take money from the bank. Now you give this money to your friend and he buys a house. So how much did you give him? Let's say 100,000. You gave him. Then he starts paying the mortgage monthly. At the end of, let's say, 15 years, he pays, let's say, $150,000. So he paid $50,000 interest to you. Even though it didn't go to you, it went to your bank, but it went through you. It's as if there were two loans, one from you to the bank and another one from him to you, right? Two loans. And one loan was okay from you to the bank, and the second loan was not allowed. So for that second loan, you have to write heter iska.
cosign is different?
We learned that just like you're not allowed to borrow and lend money with interest, you're also not allowed to be involved in any transaction that has interest. Which means whether you're a witness, whether you're a lawyer, whether you're just recorder, or you're cosigner, guarantor, anything like that, you're not allowed.
I'm not sure if I learned it with you or if I heard if I read it someplace. There was also a difference? I'm not sure. I'm trying to remember, but I couldn't. About paying the interest itself up front or at the end. There is a little difference about it, but I'm not.
Yeah, according to the Torah, the problem is only if in the beginning you specify what the interest is going to be. For example, you give me 100,000 and I'm telling you that because of that you're going to pay me 10% either at the end or 10% yearly, whatever it is. If we specify this in the beginning, that is rebellious. That is the real problem. But if, let's say, you give me a certain amount of money and at the end of the loan I give you back to you, and then I just add as a thank you to you, I just add some more money, that's not called rebellious, that's the Rabbanan. Still forbidden, still forbidden. Even though we didn't discuss it and it's at the end, it's still forbidden.
Rabbi, I have a question. Let's say someone gave you a loan, no interest. After you paid back the loan, can you send them a gift? Is that considered interest?
You're not allowed to, if it's understood that the gift is for the loan, then it's not allowed.
But again, there is a risk, right? I think we spoke about this, that the loan could also be lost after 6-7 years. What was that cycle?
Yeah, it's not really a risk. It's something that it's a mitzvah for you.
So if in the 6th
Forgive
year
the loan.
you give someone money and he doesn't have time to return, right? By the expiration of that year, the money is supposed to be forgiven.
Forgive.
By the 6th year or by the
7th year.
Not
By
the
the
Yuhanan, the 50th year?
7th
By
year.
the
Or
seventh.
every 7 years.
Yeah.
By the 7th year, right?
Yeah.
By the start of 7th year, if it's not returned.
Right, but I think the halacha is if the loan was due before the 7th year and he couldn't pay it, then the 7th year cancels it. But if the loan wasn't due until after, then it's fine. Let's say I give you a 10-year loan, right? So even if the Shemitah comes, it doesn't cancel because the loan is not due yet.
What if you never even said what's the duration of the loan? You just gave it to someone and told whenever you can give it back to them.
There's a standard. It says that if you didn't specify the amount of loan, then it's minimum of 30 days, right? And it's expected that you're going to pay it after that. Which means as soon as you tell a person, whenever you can't pay it back, right away it starts obligation to pay back. Whenever he has extra money, he is supposed to give it back to you. But after 30 days, you give him 30 days to use the money.
So after 30 days you cannot collect it, you're saying? Or
No, if
No,
the
you should
Shemitah
stop.
comes afterwards, then it's like, it's forgiven. But if you specify a certain amount of time and it's after Shemitah, then Shemitah doesn't cancel because it's not an effect.
you
It's
have to specify, it's better to specify.
better to specify.
Oh, what is the next Shemitah year?
I think this coming year, I think if I'm
I
not
think
mistaken.
it's soon, yeah. No, it's coming year? Right?
You Google it.
So just to understand this, if it's a 6th year, right? So I borrow someone money and I say, return it to me in 2 years. So the 7th year comes, it's fine, and the 8th year comes, I can take the money.
You can take the money, and if he doesn't have money, then
You can extend.
you can extend it, and then if Shemitah comes then it cancels.
Wait, I mean, you give more than the many dollars and she gives it back to you because she forgot to give it back to you the other year? Can you do that?
No.
Because like, if that person, she lost your money and like the other year, can you give her like pretend you gave her $8 that year, and she lost the $8 and she has only like, she doesn't have $8 and
Yeah.
she can't count $8.
It's outside of this topic.
the other year, can you give her like 8 plus 8 is 16, and $16? Can you give her and then she gives us back $16?
Yeah, you
can
can
do
give her
that?
another 8, and then she'll give you both at the same time.
Rabbi,
Yeah.
can you work in a bank? Like a Jew comes to you and asks for a loan
Yes.
from the bank.
Yes.
Can you do these papers even though you know
Yes.
it's such a interest?
Because it's only a Jew or lending to a Jew. If it's non-Jewish money, let's say you work for a non-Jew, you're his secretary, let's say, and your job is whoever needs a loan, you lend them. So you're allowed to do it because it's not your money.
I would say if you have your money, you keep it on savings account. Every month there is a interest coming.
Yeah, that's also fine because the bank is not Jewish. In Israel, they have a problem because the banks are Jewish, so then they write heter iska. The bank writes a general heter iska for all its customers that it doesn't lend them, it's a business transaction, it's a partnership.
Interesting. So it's
Oh,
a very practical.
Interesting.
But Rabbi, it's a form
Three
of
boys are
trickery.
lost.
And trickery is not allowed, if I'm not mistaken. I think I read it somewhere.
Trickery that is illegal is not allowed, but the kind of trickery that
It's a workaround.
the way, the reason why Chachamim did it is because they realized that if you don't create some permissible way of doing it, then people will not, the business, society cannot run because people lost trust in each other and they were afraid to lend money, and poor people were suffering. The reason why Torah made this rule is that to help poor people, so that a poor person can borrow money and start his life again. He can start a business, he can buy a house, he can do something. But if rich people are afraid to lend him, then he is again in trouble. So the Chachamim came and they fixed the situation by protecting the rich so that the poor can benefit.
So is this only for the purposes when you're borrowing money for the business? What if the person, usually in our Yuhanan community happens is people want to buy houses and they borrow from other people and those people lend them an interest. So how
Yes,
can
so
you
again,
make
you
heter
can make
iska?
heter iska for anything. It
But
doesn't
it's
have to
not
be business.
But it's not always a partnership.
It doesn't have to be. If they become partner in you buying your house,
So how do you, but you're not splitting profits here, there's no profit, you pay
the interest that you're going to pay them is not going to be interest, but it's rather going to be their share in a profit for their partnership.
What kind of
How
profit?
do you
There's
make
no
a
profit.
shield? They
For
need
being
to.
a partnership. Just for
Yeah.
There is. When you buy a house, there is a profit. That's why people buy houses, because it's a good investment.
So
It
really,
doesn't-
it's a residence, I mean.
Yeah. In the end, the prices go up. You save money on the rent, whatever it is, but it doesn't depend on it. Even if you don't make money, you can still make a partnership, and I can make you a partner for a certain amount, and I'm going to pay you whatever it is, even if I lose money. I mean, you can make the terms of the partnership anything you want.
But people borrow also money for personal use.
Yeah, it can be personal, but you still make a business contract.
But it's if it's interest free, you don't have to worry about that. Right?
Yeah, if it's interest free, you don't have to worry about that, but you should still record your loan, if possible with witnesses, so that later shouldn't be a problem how much you borrowed, if you borrowed at all, when you're supposed to return it, everything should be recorded. Now let's go to the next negative commandment.
I'm sorry, one more question on the topic. So when I first bought my car, right, a few years back, I financed it.
What's
But
that
my
mean?
father is the one who gave me money to do it, but everything is under my name though.
If it's under your name,
The car is under my name, the
And
loan
the
is under
loan
my name.
so then
It wasn't really
fine.
a down payment, it was really more like to pay for like license and registrations.
Yes, so then that's not a problem.
It's not a problem, because I'm paying interest on the loan.
Right, yeah, the loan is on for you, and you're the one paying interest directly to the company, not through your father.
Right. Okay.
So that's fine.
Wait, he was trying to drive the car or he was keeping the car?
No, he bought the car.
What? And why else is dad's money?
Gentlemen, want to move on to the next subject right now, okay?
Now, we are in Pasuk Chav Bet. It says like this: if you make a promise, you make a vow to Hashem. The negative commandment is the second line of Chabet. Lo te'acher leshalmo. Do not delay in fulfilling your vow. That's the negative commandment. The negative commandment is don't delay your vows and your oaths.
What's I mean? How often? Oh, here it is.
This is specifically about bringing offerings, giving charity, or doing other mitzvot. For example, if you say, I promise to bring a certain offering to the temple, you didn't specify time, you just said, I promise to bring an olah korban. So now you have obligation. You don't have to run right now. The Torah allows you to wait until next time that you're planning to go to temple. When is that? You have to go to temple 3 times a year. Pesach, Shavuot, and Sukkot. So once you make a vow, it's expected that you're going to fulfill your vow at the earliest possible opportunity.
When you make a vow, you say it out loud or you mean on the inside? On the inside.
You're supposed to say it out loud, but it says that any promise that is connected to a mitzvah, even if you think about it, it's still...
Oh, not only to tzedakah, even to mitzvah if you think about it?
That's why we should
Obviously,
control our...
So Rabbi, if I say to someone I'll be there in 2 hours
You can say b'linada.
and I come in 3, that applies?
No,
No?
because you didn't promise, but you should still... it's not nice to the person that
So
they're
it's
waiting
not-
for you.
What is a promise then? What
The
is
promise is when you... this mitzvah is specifically when you say it to Hashem, meaning you say either I'm going to bring an offering, I'm going to give charity, or I'm going to fulfill a mitzvah, something connected between you and Hashem. But that's why people often say the words bli neder, without a vow, without a promise. It's not required, but it's a nice thing to say if you don't want, to be responsible for your words. But at the same time, you shouldn't abuse it, because then anything you say, you can say, I don't have to do it because I said bli neder, and then nobody can trust you with anything, right? So only say bli neder, or you say I will try to be there in 2 hours, or you say God willing, things like that give you room. Yeah. So the words lo ta'acher l'shalmo, don't delay fulfilling your vow, mean that you should bring your korban, your offering, the first holiday that you visit the temple. Let's say you did it in the winter and the first holiday is Pesach, so when you go to the temple by Pesach, you have obligation to bring it. However, you don't transgress the negative commandment until 3 holidays pass. Pesach, Shavuot, Sukkot. Hashem gives you 3 opportunities. Maybe it was hard for you one time, maybe you carried too much stuff the second time. By the 3rd time you have to. The positive commandment is from the first time, but the negative commandment, the transgression, is only after the 3rd time. If you miss Pesach, Shavuot, Sukkot, you transgress this commandment.
Where is the positive commandment? Well,
The positive is in a different place, not here.
So when synagogues basically chase people
Actually,
to pay off their debts, this
next
applies right here, right? When synagogues say you guys...
yes, yeah. If you bought an aliyah or you promised to give tzedakah,
Right.
you have obligation to fulfill it.
Right.
That's the positive commandment, and then the next. That's the positive. And the negative commandment is if you delay it, that's a negative. Now we have a positive commandment. Pasuk Havdalet. Motza sefatecha tishmor v'asita. What comes out from your mouth, from your lips, guard, and you must do it. And this, I guess, refers to not mitzvot, but anything you say, you must do. That's a positive commandment.
What do we write?
Fulfill everything that comes out from your lips.
And this is now not only to Hashem
Right, this is even to people.
So the one that was a negative was to Hashem?
Right, because it says, Lo tacher kitidor neder Lashem, it says. Right, the Pasuk Chavbet. When you make a vow to Hashem, Elokecha. But here it just says, Motzas kefet tishmor ba'asita. Even though it says, Asher nadarta Lashem Elokecha.
So what if you said something that might be detrimental to someone? I mean, let's say you promised to give to, like in your mind, you're going to give somebody a present at CV, let's say, and then you became observant and you realized, if I give the CV to this person, it's bad for him. So what do you do in that
You
situation?
don't have to.
So, but do you have to like go and get 3 people and break the nether, or are you like, that's it, like, it's not good for him, it's going to detract him from...
I think only what you pronounce out loud, right?
Yeah,
But even if you pronounce stuff, you know, like...
right. If you pronounced it,
Pronounce it's a promise already.
with what is considered promise, just saying I'm going to do it, if that's a promise or not, I'm not sure. We have to learn more in depth.
But if, let's say you said it, like you promised,
Right.
and then you realize that this might be bad for him because it's going to
Yeah,
detract him
not
from
allowed.
Torah.
Not allowed. It says that you're not allowed to make a promise on something that goes against a promise that you made earlier. Right? If you have a commitment that precedes your current commitment, you don't have to keep your current commitment because you have a previous commitment. So it says that we all promise to Hashem that we're going to follow His laws, and anything we promise to break that doesn't count.
Mm.
So fulfill everything that comes out from your lips. Let's do. Let's see how much we can do. On page 1058, we have one positive commandment. In Pasuk Chavhei, that spreads to Pasuk Chavav. In Pasuk Chavhei, we mark with green. Ki tavo v'kerem re'echa ve'achalta. When you come into the vineyard of your friend, you may eat. Here we're talking about you are a worker. If you work for your friend in a vineyard, while you're working with grapes, with harvesting grapes, you're allowed to eat.
This is only applied to vineyard, or
No,
But what
we're
you
going to
do
see.
then?
And the next one is, listen like this. The next pasuk, Ki tavo bekamat re'echa vekatavta melilot beyadecha. When you come into the field of your friend, meaning standing grain, and you're now harvesting the grain, and you're allowed to pluck with your hands and eat fresh grain. It's still soft, you're allowed to eat it.
Why?
You also underline it?
Huh?
Wait.
You underline that also?
This also, and we connect. It's one Islam.
Can't you eat it in your house or somewhere else?
Yeah, please.
Let's say you have a job,
Yeah.
and you're working there the whole day. Are you allowed to eat lunch?
I don't know.
Yeah, you can.
You can.
What?
Do you have to go home to eat lunch and then come back?
No.
No, you can eat at work. Does your employer have to provide you with lunch?
What does that mean?
Does your boss have to give you lunch?
Sometimes, maybe.
Sometimes, right. Sometimes he doesn't, sometimes yes. So we're here talking about the case where your boss has to give you lunch, meaning
Has to?
since, yes, you're obligated. Why? Because
Oh, I
you
know it. Because I'm working for him.
not only that, but
because I'm giving
because
him food and I'm making.
no, because when a person works with food that is ready to be eaten, like in this case he's working with grapes that are ready to be eaten and he's harvesting them, he's not just doing some job that is before harvest, like pruning it or watering it, then he's not allowed to eat. But if he's working with food that is ready to be eaten, he's harvesting it, or let's say he's crushing the grapes into wine, or he's grinding the wheat,
Oh,
he's working with food that can be edible,
and he can eat
he
it.
is allowed to eat. Why? Because it's hard for a person to work with food and not being
So
able to
this
eat.
is the mitzvah that the restaurant owners should follow, right? So that's the mitzvah. So this is where
Right.
it's derived from.
Right.
Is it two different mitzvot?
This is the same mitzvah. We connect
One
them,
mitzvah.
and the mitzvah is
Give us one good translation for like so right now.
yeah. It's one mitzvah. It says. Allow worker to eat during work.
So even though it's talking about the person who eats, but the mitzvah is for the owner of the place.
Yeah.
Or feed him your food if you work in a restaurant, right?
Yeah. This is
We're talking about any
specifically
worker, Rabbi?
specifically a worker that works with food that is ready to be eaten.
All the time, because let's say you have like a servant, he works in the kitchen, or she sometimes. During that time, you give him food.
In a restaurant, it's different. You know,
Maybe like lunch
but
hour or
we're
something.
talking about no lunch hour. Here we're talking about as he's working with food, he is allowed to put it in his mouth.
Wait, what about the
But only when he's working with food. When he, let's say, goes out of the field, he says, I need some time to rest, and he leaves the field on the side, or even in the field, he lies down. Since he's not working at that time, he's not allowed to eat. It's only while he's working, he's allowed to put some grapes or some wheat in his mouth. And the same applies to animals, right? It's not here, but we have a mitzvah that you're not allowed to put a muzzle on your animal while the animal is working. Because also for an animal, it's hard to work with food and not being able to eat.
wait, but
So we write, allow your worker to eat during work.
What is in Parshah 26? It's not already food. With grain?
Wheat is, yes.
Wait, what about
Fresh
Fresh
kernels,
wheat.
caramel, fresh, it's still
Eatable?
edible, yes.
They don't have to. It doesn't need to be cooked. They just can take it in.
No, there are two kinds of, there's dried one, right? It's either dried in the sun or they oven dried. And before they dry it, it's soft. You can eat it, you can chew it, right?
But
Once
what-
it's flour already, that's not edible. So then it would be, you wouldn't be able to eat. And then we have a negative commandment. We have two negative commandments. Even though you have permission to eat, but in Pasuk Chav Hey it says, at the end of the line, it says, second line of the page, Vel kelicha lo titen, but you're not allowed to put it in your vessels.
what does that mean?
So while you are working, you're allowed to eat, but you're not allowed, second line from the top. Vel kelicha lo titen.
Last worded one.
Last word. You're not allowed to save food for later. The permission is only given while you're working, you're allowed to eat.
Oh, because like
But don't put it in your bag or in your pockets, in your...
So we highlight this?
because
Yeah, we highlight
you have
this.
to buy it. You have to buy it.
Yes. It says, and the mitzvah is, the worker may not take more than he can eat.
So what are we writing again?
Worker cannot take more food than he can eat. So let's say the same restaurant worker. If the owner tells him you can eat anything you want, he can't say, "Oh, I'm gonna take some for my family." If there's something left
Unless
at
he
the end of
allows
the
it,
year, right at the end of the day, then it's okay. But during work, he's not allowed to put some in his
Wait, what about
pockets.
the boss allows him to put it in his?
Yeah,
Like
that,
that.
if your boss allows, then you're allowed. Then we have the next negative commandment is in Pasuk Chavav, second line of Pasuk Chavav, V'hermesh lo tanif al kamat re'echa. But don't wave your sickle upon the standing grain of your friend. Which means, when you are working in the field of your friend, you're allowed to eat. How can you eat? It says, "V'katavta melilot beyadecha." You're allowed to pluck it with your hands. To take the grain, clean it, and eat it, kernels. But you're not allowed to start taking bunches and with a sickle cut it. And again, the idea to put it into your.
But if he's working and that's what he's doing.
That's what he's doing.
So why do we need two separate commandments for the same thing, not to take it with you?
Must be it's not at the time of work, right? And that's what the mitzvah is. at the time of work, you harvest with a sickle and you put it in a. If you want to eat, you're not going to do this and then eat. You're going to just take with your hands and eat. Once you raise the sickle for yourself and not for him, that's already not time of work, right? So you're not, and if it's not time of work, you're not allowed to eat it. So here the negative commandment is, a worker may not eat
More than he is allowed to.
after finishing the job.
Wait, is it a different commandment are you reading?
I'm reading, this is Pasuk Chava at the end of the line.
The worker may not eat what? The worker may
A
not
worker may not eat
Just keep going from house to house.
Okay.
Rabbi, can you read the pasuk?
Yeah. V'chermesh lo tanif al kamat re'echa.
Okay. The translation is
A worker may not eat
Hold it for me.
not during working time.
during non-working hours, right?
Oh yeah.
That's one negative commandment. Another negative commandment is worker may not. I mean, it's the same part of the same thing. Worker may not eat from unfinished produce.
And where is that?
Same thing. That
Eat.
if it's not the time of your job, of your work, or the produce that you work with was not completed yet, you're not allowed to eat. For example, it's unfinished grapes, or you're not harvesting yet, right? Or the wheat is not fully grown, you're not allowed to eat until it's fully grown and you're harvesting it, you're grinding, or you're doing anything that the food is already edible, you're just doing further process with it, then you're allowed to.
Rabbi, I know a
Otherwise
restaurant owner. He is Jewish, but he's completely not observant at all. He's kosher, not glad. He has the cupcake sign,
Which is not
It's
good.
not
yeah, which is not good. He's American Jew. So,
What's his name?
and he owns a deli.
Tell
They
me.
open on Shabbat, right? Because they have a lot of non-Jewish customers. The only times they close is, I believe, Rosh Hashanah, Yom Kippur, and Pesach. Right, Pesach. But he gives everyone 1 hour lunch, paid for, and they may eat anything but the rib steak. And his business is very successful. He's been successful since his father opened it, and his business is about 65 years now. So I think he's meriting it, that's just my personal
Because,
opinion, because he's, I don't know if he
he's treating his
necessarily
workers
knows
well.
that it's a law from the Torah. I don't know if he necessarily knows that he's actually fulfilling a big mitzvah, but he's actually treating them, yes, he pays for their 1 hour lunch, and they're allowed to eat anything, except the rib steak.
What's
That and they're allowed to eat that on their birthday.
That's good. Okay.
I think that he's meriting that great mitzvah because, I
By
mean,
the way, there's
he's
a,
successful business because of this.
right now they announced on 108th Street, one of the restaurants who was kosher now became glad kosher.
The Registan, right?
Pakistan, so
Oh, really?
announced it, so
Yeah,
we're
I
interested
heard
to
those
research
yesterday.
about
We're
ourselves.
finishing, right?
Yes.
It's on 65th Avenue and 108th Street.
Which Hashgach it's not?
VHK.